Hey guys, today I've got a brand new and exciting product to show you guys. So for our next generation of touring cars, I introduced to you our XQ11. So our XQ11, we've redesigned almost everything from our XQ10 to this car. So as per usual, I'll go over some brand new features to show you, starting from the front to the back. So at the front, you can already see we've redesigned the bumper so that you can run your body way backwards instead of forwards compared to our last one because it's a bit shorter than before. And then moving on to the front, the low profile upper bulkheads was very popular with our XQ10, so we've incorporated it into our XQ11, as you can see. What this does is it lowers the center of gravity and you can adjust the shock angles more minute with adding and removing shims. The biggest difference you'll see is that we've ditched the kingpin suspension design and went with this ball stud suspension designs that's ever so popular nowadays. What separates us from others is that we've designed it so that it's very easy to adjust caster and camber link length. So to adjust caster, you add or remove shims at the front. So for the front, if you run a 2mm shim, you get 2 degrees of caster. If you remove one, you get 4. But if you run no shims, you get 6. So very easy to adjust and without needing special tools to check caster on your setup gauges as such. And onto the arm designs. So you can see there's 2 big triangular structures, which makes the suspension much more rigid than before, whereas the single point mounting points on the old camber link designs. On this upper suspension arm, we've added this body stop that moves along with the arm, which pushes onto your body and prevents it from scraping on the floor during cornering. And on the steering block, we've kept the steering plate, so with optional plates, you can adjust the Ackerman to change setup. We've redesigned the hex as well, so that it runs through inside the steering hub to reduce the play. As you can see, there's absolutely 0 play now. We've also moved the roll bar mounting point on the chassis to be separate from the bulkhead, so it doesn't affect the flex on your chassis. Moving on to the steering rack, the quick adjust Ackerman steering rack is included now with 3 insets, so you can adjust from 8, 8.5 and 9 to adjust how your steering reacts during cornering. Our quick remove battery mount comes included as well. And moving on to the top deck, we've kept the same inset system, which you can adjust the flex at the front. So there's several different holes which you can mount. On the rear, it uses the same screw found on our MF1 to adjust the flex. And in the center point, there's a slot for a bearing. And now onto the motor mount. So on the motor mount, there are several different points which you can install a bearing, which acts as a belt tensioner, so you can adjust for your different motor power levels, so you can decide how many belt tensioners you need. Moving on towards the back of the car, the link is mounted on the bulkhead nowadays, so to adjust toe-in, you just adjust the linkages here. The horizontal rear body mount comes standard now with some shims that you can adjust body height. Also comes with the kit. And we've decided to use insets to adjust how far out your suspension sits on the bottom of the arm with different insets. So the kit comes with a 0-degree one, and you can get optional bits to adjust how far or how inwards your lower suspension mount. As mentioned before, the arms are mounted with balls onto the chassis plate nowadays instead of the kingpin suspension that we've had for such a long time. So one thing we've decided to include is that how tight the arm wraps around the ball is adjusted with a tiny little screw. So what that does, it lets you have free suspension without the arm ripping off easily during cornering or having a little crash. As per usual, there's a lot of flex shop flex options in the bottom of the chassis, depending on which screws you use or not. And you can see here, there'll be a further optional stiffener plate, which you can get to adjust the rear flex. That's it for today. I hope you get one yourself.